Hi, everybody. This is Jason Yelowitz with Quiet Light. So, my special guest today is Jonathan Spector. He is one of the owners of Hamilton Hills, which is a fantastic Amazon, mostly Amazon business, selling things like mirrors and lighting fixtures, glass tops, a couple other things. Jonathan, how are you today?
I am wonderful. I'm in sunny Miami Beach, so I'm not in the cold weather like the rest of the country.
Okay, well, I'm jealous. I'm in Reno, Nevada, pretty close to the mountains. So, yeah, going to Florida is kind of on the agenda sometime soon.
Fair enough.
So, Jonathan, tell us about Hamilton Hills. Give us an overview of what is your business.
Sure. So Hamilton Hills was started about 5 years ago, and it's a brainchild of myself, who has sort of a long history with online businesses and Amazon businesses as well. And I've sort of built and sold a number of SaaS businesses in the past, and sold a pet business in the Amazon space. And then I'm currently selling another business in the Amazon space, but basically partnered with good friends of mine who are in the mirror and lighting space. And so they had all this experience, but do not sell direct to customers. And so they've had a large commercial business where they sell to hotels and larger accounts, basically. And so I approached them about 5 years ago, and we partnered to create this online brand, direct to consumer brand. And so we sell a whole host of mirrors, lighting, bathroom accessories, and some glass tabletops. So all sort of in the furniture space, and we sell it direct to consumer. And so I started that with them and run that.
Okay, and is it predominantly mirrors? When I go to Amazon and put in Hamilton Hills, that's mostly what I see.
Yes, I would say our bread and butter is definitely mirrors. We got into lighting as a complement to mirrors, right? Because if you're buying a bathroom mirror, then you're most likely buying a vanity light that goes above the mirror. And so we wanted to be part of that sale and increase our average order value. So we have gotten into the lighting space, but I would say our bread and butter is mirrors.
Okay. Now let's talk mirrors. You're doing direct to consumer. I mean, don't people just care about the lowest price and they'll go to Walmart or Costco?
Yeah, I think certainly there are customers throughout the whole gamut, right? There are certainly buyers who look for price. That's not our customer. Our customer, and often you can see in our reviews online, people will talk about our support, people will talk about our quality, and people will talk about how they were blown away. They didn't realize how nice it was going to be when they got it. And so we've purposely positioned ourselves to not get into a price war with people. And so we don't lead with our price point as our marketing point. We lead with quality. We lead with an American company. We lead with generations of experience, and like a product that we're really proud of. And so you can see in the reviews, people talk about the quality, and also we completely stand behind the product. So if it arrives broken or they have any problems with it, or anything damages later down the road, we instantly replace it. And so we find customers look for that from us.
Yeah, and that was certainly the impression I got when I read the reviews. In fact, if I'm remembering right, you've got something like 98% lifetime satisfaction on.
Yeah,
on
I
Amazon.
mean, yeah, we will we will go above and beyond to please the customer, even if that means we're losing money on those sales. And we like to look at it as like the big picture, the flywheel. I can't tell you how many times we've sent replacements, or maybe two replacements, to a customer, and then they say, you know what, I'm going to tell all my friends, or I'm redoing my other bathroom at the end of the year, and then I'm going to buy another mirror from you. And so I kind of believe that it's karma. You do good and it's going to come back to you. And I think that's helped us grow and get repeat customers.
Yeah, and I would say that the results definitely reflect that. So at the time of our interview, I've only seen pretty much the 2020 financials, but it looked like you did about 14.7 million in top line sales, and flowing to the bottom line, what we call the seller's discretionary earnings, was about 20% of that, which I consider that pretty solid for the category that you're in. So I would think that my instinct would have been that's a testament to the service. But then I was shocked to read between you and your partner, you're only putting in what, 15 hours a week or so running this? That's amazing.
Yeah, maybe don't tell my partners that I'm working that a little, but yeah, actually, um, so yes, we each have other businesses basically, and so the other partners, uh, like I said, are in the mirror and lighting space, but they have a large business to commercial projects, hotels and larger properties like that, multifamily properties and stuff like that. So they don't really deal with this. One of them was retired, and he's the one who did this as a pet project with me. And then I have, sort of my people that I use for support for some of my other Amazon businesses. And so we've been able to do this, um, you know, yes, on the side. I mean, it's I'm embarrassed to say it, but yeah, it's basically on the side. They have obviously experience in logistics. I had experience in e-commerce businesses, so we've been able to grow it successfully with that amount of time. And yes, it has not been
Yeah.
full time for either.
Well, definitely don't be embarrassed. I literally wrote a book about running a business when I was working about 30 minutes a day, and it was extremely successful financially. And what I learned was, look, if you're making the customers happy, you don't end up having a whole lot of issues that you need to solve. So if you're good at efficiency and streamlining, it can definitely work. Now, it kind of feels to me then that if a buyer came in and was willing and able to put in more effort, there's probably growth opportunities. Tell me, where do you see the potential for growth, either top line, bottom line, or both?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that it's a no-brainer that is the case. And I think, unfortunately, because my partners come from this industry, they have sort of fixed decisions in their head that they've made from over the years, and certain beliefs, which I may disagree with. For example, our break rate is incredibly high. Now, we sell mirrors. That's probably the worst thing to ever send because mirrors are fragile and they're going to break. But even with that said, I think our packaging can substantially be improved. And so there, one of my partners is tired of redesigning and
Yeah,
testing and figuring out the packaging. But like I always say, ultimately something will not break, right? If you cover it in a
enough
million
bubble
pounds of
wrap.
bubble wrap, it's not going to break, right? And then you reduce it until you get there. So I know there is opportunity there, but he's tired and doesn't want to chase that. And so that's an example of an expense type, a growth type thing, opportunity. And I outline a lot of them in the questionnaire because
Yeah.
there's a ton of different ones. But a growth type thing also that's being held back, I think, by the lack of time and the lack of prior experience in the industry was, our minimum order quantities are so low on mirrors that generally that industry has very low MOQ. So you can place an order with a manufacturer for 50 units, 60 units of a new SKU. So we have certain SKUs that may sell 20 or 30 units a month. That to me is an opportunity to get someone into the brand. And if I can order so few quantity, it's not a big deal for me to keep that much inventory.
Inventory. Yeah.
Whereas it just doesn't necessarily excite my partner to sell 20 or 30 units of a SKU. As far as I'm concerned, if it's making profit, it's additional. It's an additional SKU to the catalog, and there's not much additional upkeep or workload to having this.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And what it sounds like to me is the difference between one partner who's used to massive orders from hotel chains versus another partner who's very used to kind of the A/B testing world of online sales, where if you can sell a marginal 30 extra units and get some brand loyalty, it's worth it, and you can measure that over time. So it really just sounds like two partners coming from different perspectives. Now,
Completely.
okay, so we talked a little bit about packaging. My understanding, the products are coming straight from your factories, from factories in Asia, going straight to FBA warehouses, and you never touch them. How do you go about improving the packaging, adding more bubble wrap, testing it, that kind of thing?
Sure. Sure. So not 100% of our inventory goes direct. There are certain ones that we had come to us, but how do we do it? With the factories in China, or with a, I think there must be a packaging consultant that you can hire that can do drop testing for you and make recommendations. And we've done a lot of different things, like an MDF box around it, or change the density of the foam. And often it's just getting someone who has experience in, who's not tired of iterating,
Yeah.
to improve it. And so there are, honestly, it sounds crazy, but there's exponential ways to improve the packaging, the density of the foam, the box around it, the airspace, the sealing of, stuff that's beyond my pay grade. But yes, you can.
Yeah, and I don't think you'd have to hire a consultant. I can guarantee you my kids would be happy to get on the roof and drop your mirrors onto the concrete and see what happens. So yeah,
I suppose you need the consultant to know what works though, and what doesn't, to mitigate some of those expenses.
Yeah. Now, have you had issues? So, obviously last year, 2020, the pandemic was a big deal. And we've heard a lot of stories about stockouts and non-essential retailers and whatnot. And what I've heard from some of my clients is they also maintained a warehouse so they could do fulfillment by merchant rather than just fulfillment by Amazon. Have you experienced any kind of stockouts or any issues related to that?
Yeah, that's been our biggest challenge in 2020, was just the logistics headache. So we're not equipped to do individual orders and ship to customers onesie twosie. So we can't do FBM or any of those type things. So we only use FBA and deliver for our Walmart sales. But we don't send individually. So we had to figure out how we can get the containers directly to Amazon. All the containers were backed up, were delayed. Amazon, when they had the pandemic, instantly overnight reduced all their inventory levels that they were allowing at the warehouse. And we had items already shipped that were on their way. We had items that were going out of stock. They kind of made these changes without thinking through some of the ramifications of it. And so unfortunately we had to play with this moving target, which is fine. It's nature for an online business, right? A different day, different scenario.
Yep.
But that it did result in stockouts and having things that weren't in stock, or things that are literally on the boat and we know that container needs to get in, but Amazon won't let us book the container in. And so every day that you're out of stock, you're not making that sale and you're ranking.
So do you see an opportunity for the next owner to have a warehouse in addition to?
Well, we have a warehouse and we do drip in from there, but even that, it wasn't that so much. It was more of the Amazon's limits that they put on. So they would say, like, this SKU, you can only send 60 at a time, but I may be selling, 200 a month. And so to have 60 at a time, you can't just, do it. It's just logistically.
That makes a lot of sense. One thing I did notice on the profit and loss statement, it seemed like the refund rate was fairly high. So I guess my question is that because of the packaging issues we talked about, or is it more like buying shoes online where you kind of have to get them, try them on, see how they look in your house, and then decide if you want them?
No, I don't think we have the shoe problem. I think people are pretty cognizant that they're ordering a mirror, and so that I don't think they even want to return the mirror. So I would say it's almost entirely, I mean, obviously it's not 100%, but I would say it's almost entirely from breaks or damages in transit. And that's why that rate is so high. Now, a lot of that is offset by refunds from Amazon. So if the carrier damages it, we do get quite a bit of it back because it's the carrier's fault or Amazon's fault that they damaged the item. But still, I think that rate is too high. That Amazon does have a threshold of damage rate that they allow. In mirrors, it's exponentially higher. So they'll pull an ASIN off, just ask you to make sure that it's fine and put it back up. And so mirrors is unlike almost any other category where you'll see that happen so often. But I still think it's too high. There's so much profit right there in just reducing that rate.
It definitely struck me that way. Another line item I saw on the profit and loss statement was shrinkage, which, in retail, a lot of times that means items just disappear. Is that how you're using it? Are things getting lost?
So that line item basically comes from if I send a replacement. So what we try and do is we try and get in touch with the customer before they reach out to Amazon. to try
Okay.
and help them out. And so if they receive a certain mirror and they reach out to our customer support, she'll send a replacement right away. And so at the a couple times a year we have to do a hard count of inventory, and then that's where we reduce
Yeah.
the count by with the replacements that we send.
Okay. Fair enough. So let's talk about the customer support. How many people? Where are they? And is it all email based?
It's one support lady. She's a VA. She's in the Philippines,
Okay.
um, and it is all email with a few phone calls here and there. We try and divert everything to email, but sometimes if it's like a very technical question, I'll have someone else call. Or if it's someone who wants to place a bulk order, sometimes they just want to talk to a person, and so we'll walk them through it and then just send them a quote through our shop.
And a bulk order would be like somebody remodeling their house, that kind of thing.
No, it would be like sometimes we have smaller like home manufacturers. They may say, "Oh, I
Ah,
want 20 mirrors," because we're going to be building 4 homes or something like that.
okay.
And so they'll call and try and get a little discount.
Oh, okay. Well, so that brings up a good point. Your partners on this business are also running a mirror business, and they're selling mostly to hotels. Where's the demarcation point where after we sell Hamilton Hills, the new owner can be confident that this is their turf and that's your partner's turf?
Yeah, I think look, they understand, and we're not trying to hold anyone's hands. I think ultimately they don't have any problem not selling to any consumers direct.
Okay.
It's not their business, it's not what they're interested in doing. They're not equipped to handle that, so they would carve out that any direct to consumer they wouldn't do. And then I think they would just want to know that maybe for the same amount of time that they wouldn't the buyer wouldn't be actively pursuing hotel chains or something like that.
Yeah.
But obviously if an inbound lead came to the website for bulk, like 20 mirrors or whatever, of course that would be fine.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay. That sounds really good. So, for deals this size, we see different types of buyers. Sometimes they're strategic. Sometimes they're what we call roll-up firms. Sometimes they're traditional private equity. Once in a while, it might be a high net worth family, something like that. Who do you see as the right buyer for the Hamilton Hills brand?
um I don't really know. I don't know, given the size of the business, I'm not sure it makes sense for, like a retiree or someone who's looking to scale
Yeah.
down. It's a quite a big business just from a actual physical size.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the revenue, just, the inventory and the containers and that type of thing.
Well,
So
yes, about $2.5 million of inventory at
yeah,
a time.
yeah. So I think it's probably better equipped for one of these. I don't want to say roll up companies because there's a lot of these the PE firms that are just looking for sort of multiple arbitrage. But I think one of these operators,
Yeah.
the PE firms that are operators, I think are perfectly suited for this. It's a
I,
nice sized business that has grown nicely, and it's really at its point where someone who can put more time into it and focus on some pretty basic things that I think can instantly increase sort of the bottom line. I think there's
yeah.
like some layups that are just fixed by putting more time into it.
That's definitely the sense that I get with this. I also get the sense that it's a big market that's not going anywhere, and that Hamilton Hills has really good branding. So why are you selling it at this time? I mean, why not put in more time? Why not hire some
Yeah,
more?
look, my partners don't need to sell the business. They can hold it and have it for whenever. Their other business is much larger than Hamilton Hills. So they, but I've been running it. I've been running this, and so I'm at a point. I have other businesses that I need to focus on, and I'm finding myself with too much to do,
Yeah.
and it's just Hamilton Hills has started as a side project, and it's a big business that deserves someone to run it full time. And so I'm torn because I also have another business, and they are torn because they never really were involved that much in Hamilton Hills,
Yeah.
and direct to consumer is not their what forte and what not what their interest lies. And so I think we're at a point where it just kind of makes sense for us to see if someone is out there that can take it and is the right seat for the company to go to so that it can continue to.
Yeah, I totally agree with everything you just said. Now, I do presume though you will provide a smooth runway for transition and training, right? You're not going to disappear the day.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I love to talk shop and I nerd out about online Amazon businesses. So I eat, drink, and sleep this stuff. So I'm happy. I sold an Amazon business 2 years ago, and I still talk to the buyer every 2 weeks or so just to find out what he's doing, how he's growing the brand or whatever. So the brands are really important to me, and it's really important that it ends up somewhere that they're gonna put sort of the blood, sweat, and tears into it that I did to get it where it is and continue to grow it. So yes, the short answer is I'm not going anywhere. I just don't have the time to run it full time.
Okay, fantastic. Are there any final messages you'd like to say to prospective buyers who may be watching this interview?
No, I don't know how to convey it enough, and I'm embarrassed to say it, but there's so many things that should have been done, easy things that just haven't been done that can easily move the needle here. I mean, you can look at our listings. You know, our images are subpar. We don't have enhanced brand content. We don't have videos. We don't have, you know, there's just so many easy things that can be done to move the needle that should have been done. And like I said, I'm embarrassed to say that we just haven't had time to do them. And we've been just moving to the path of least resistance. And so it just needs some time.
That's definitely the sense that I got when I looked at this. I was thinking, wow, these guys started this as almost a side hustle. And next thing you knew, it grew beyond their expectations and no one had the bandwidth to commit to it. And all that it would possibly take is professionalizing things, putting focus into things that aren't getting focus. And it's mostly blocking and tackling. It's not, you don't need to hit out of the park home runs. You just need singles and doubles.
That's right. The other thing is, you know, this is not a sexy industry, and that's what I look for in a good solid business, because this is not a fidget spinner. This is not something that's going away. It's basic staple products that people like and people use, and it's not a very highly competitive black hat category. This is not like supplements or something where you have to be doing giveaways and stuff. This is just vanilla ice cream. And I think that's really appealing about it.
Well, yeah, it just seems to me, as long as humans exist and like to look at themselves, there's a demand for mirrors, right?
Okay. That is correct.
Okay, well, hey, thank you so much. So for any potential buyers watching, again, I'm Jason from Quiet Light. You can reach me at jasony@quietlightbrokerage.com or jasony@quietlight.com. They both get to me. My guest today was Jonathan Spector from Hamilton Hills, and we look forward to speaking with you more about this listing. Thank you so much. Jonathan, thank you so much.
Thank you.